Asexual Life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, that I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And today we're going to be discussing the topic of panic attacks and mental health. It's a very taboo topic. I don't think it's talked about much on other channels. And I think it's really, really important to discuss this. First of all, if you didn't know who I am Sandra Bermy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories book. I'm also the author of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. So yes, let's get into today's show. So you might have noticed that I haven't been able to stream much lately in the last week because I broke my ankle, but also because I've been doing a lot of legal stuff. I can't go into all the legal stuff I'm doing. It's a lot of paperwork and meetings and things like that. But something happened over the last year, and it was very traumatic for me, and I developed CPTSD because of it. And I ended up having really bad thoughts and kind of going backwards in my mental health. So prior to the end of 2020, my mindset was really much more positive, and I hadn't had depression as far as I was concerned since 2012. I freed myself of depression then. I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I also have fibromyalgia. Those generalized anxiety disorder was diagnosed in 2010, and then fibromyalgia in 2012. So generalized anxiety disorder is when you have high levels of anxiety to the point where it affects your everyday life. You get like physical symptoms as well as a lot of other symptoms. You constantly worry about things, and yeah, it can send you a bit nuts. And then fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. So I get pain in my arms, my neck, my back, my legs, pelvis area, all this type of thing. And the anxiety causes more physical symptoms. So it causes my fibromyalgia to get worse when I'm having increased anxiety, and anxiety is increased by stress. So the anxiety gets worse with stress, and it also makes the fibromyalgia pain a lot worse. They work both together, and one affects the other as well. And they're not sure if fibromyalgia is caused by anxiety and depression, or if those are symptoms of it. But as far as I was concerned, in 2012, I'd freed myself of depression that I'd had since childhood. But I still had anxiety disorder. But I was managing it well. And then something happened in towards the end of 2020, other than the pandemic, and it shocked me. I didn't expect it to happen. I didn't see it coming. And so I ended up having suicidal thoughts at the end of 2020, which I'm not proud to say, but it's the truth. And then throughout 2021, I have found it really difficult with my emotions, and I developed complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So post-traumatic stress disorder is when you get triggered by past events, something that was traumatizing for you in your life. You have flashbacks, you have triggers, you have panic attacks. With post-traumatic stress disorder, it's all related to basically being triggered by this thing, and it's usually to do with a very emotionally traumatic event. It can be physical as well. And the more it traumatizes you in your senses, then the more it kind of instills into you that trauma, and it's hard to get out of it. Now, complex post-traumatic stress disorder is one stage further than that. And one of the symptoms is you're not in control of your emotions like you would be normally. And so last year, a lot of the time I was crying a lot when I woke up every day. And that was really sad. I know on this channel, I always try to show the most positive side of me as I possibly can, but you know I have struggled as well. And I do like to have a positive frame of mind as much as possible. And mostly it was when I first woke up, I would start crying. And so therefore, by the evening when I did this show, then I wasn't in such a bad state. And the show itself just makes me feel so much better. That's besides helping asexuals, that's another reason why I love to do this show. It really helps me a lot, and obviously it helps you. And so so there was something that happened that was traumatizing, and I got jumpy, which I didn't used to be like, you know, when people, so for example, one of my housemates, I live in my own flat in the middle of a house, and I have to go through the rest of the house to get to my flat. It's a bit complicated, but not really. And I've lived like this for years, so I'm kind of used to it. But the person who lives in one of the other rooms in the house, they would come near me and like they would surprise me. They'd open the door and I didn't know they were there, or they would walk near me and I didn't know they were there, and I was getting automatically jumpy with them walking just near me, and because my mind was unsettled and I was like, you know. And my housemate, I say housemate because I live in the house, but I've got no housemate with me personally because I live in a separate flat. But anyway, I call him a housemate in that sense because I have to go through the house that I live in to get to my flat. And anyway, so yeah, so with him I got really jumpy at times, and he didn't really like it, and I had to explain to him that I got PTSD, which actually CPTSD. And so, you know, there's the CPTSD is a whole nother level, and it can make your moods go up and down. And it can also, it's like other conditions, but it's very much moods up and down and emotions all over the place, and you can't kind of control them. And I was having a really difficult time with that last year. Thankfully my emotions are better than they used to be. However, during this last week I had to have a 2 hours and 34 minutes minus a quick toilet and food break. There, it wasn't really a break, it was just going away from the phone. But yeah, I had to have this intensive meeting, and this intensive meeting was to do with legal stuff, which I can't talk about publicly, and I might never be able to talk about it. But during this time, I had a panic attack with it was a solicitor I was talking to, and I had a panic attack on the phone, and that was really distressing because I didn't expect it. I did actually have a panic attack when I spoke to someone else last year for an assessment for benefits, actually, like a disability assessment, and because that person kind of triggered me, and this solicitor didn't mean to. She just was asking me how last year was, and then it was a huge trigger for me, and so I really just burst into tears. My mind went blank, and I kind of couldn't breathe properly, and it's very difficult for me, and that really kind of scared me because it's like something I didn't expect. And you know, I have friends who also have panic attacks. They have high levels of anxiety and they do have panic attacks, and it's something I have experienced in the past, but it's worse than it used to be. Like that, I wasn't, when the panic attacks came on, it was more a sense of pure anxiety, if you know what I mean, whereas now it's mixed with a lot of trauma and trauma triggers, and so that's a lot harder. But you know, a couple of my friends have got a lot of the same problems. They've been having panic attacks around the same time that I was having panic attacks, so kind of all in it together, and that is good to get support. You know, it's really good to be able to connect with people who understand you, and I'd urge you that if you have, you know, if you do suffer with panic attacks, to not beat yourself up about it or feel bad about yourself, because you know, you do feel bad automatically really when you're going through that. You don't need more criticism from yourself about it, you know. I read a post last night that said, oh, you know, be your own worst critic, because there's enough other people out there doing it, so be your own worst critic. And I think I understand where that advice is coming from, and I kind of used to say that a lot myself, but I think really you shouldn't. It's good to have constructive criticism, but ideally you don't want to be living in criticism. You want to actually just accept yourself for who you are with your flaws and difficulties, and come to be able to manage them better and to live with them and to have understanding and compassion for yourself. Because you know, when things that happen in life that you didn't expect and they do trigger you, you know, you can't help that really. Like, it was involuntary when I was in this meeting. I didn't expect that to happen. She's like, how was last year? And I just went blank, and I just burst into tears, got a bit hysterical, I think. Breathing went a bit difficult, and so that was kind of hard. It doesn't mean to say I'm not a strong person, because the people who do have panic attacks and get through them are some of the strongest people you'll ever meet, because you know they're dealing with these type of symptoms that aren't normal. You know, it means your breathing goes kind of shallow. You like end up not being able to get enough oxygen in your lungs. Like for me personally, like all my hands went numb, pins and needles, all the hands went numb. I felt shaky. I couldn't really remember what I was saying. Difficulty thinking of anything. Room was starting to go grey, you know, because it just cuts off kind of like all the oxygen goes to the heart because your body goes into fight or flight mode when you feel you're in danger. So for me, even though I was sat talking on a phone in a meeting, the danger's quite present in my body. And that's what happens with panic attacks, you know. And so that's why you experience all those weird symptoms. You can get pains in your chest as well, irritable bowel, all this type of stuff as well. Usually, well, irritable bowel usually is to do with anxiety more so than a panic attack. During the panic attack, some people do wet themselves in a panic attack. I believe, I think, but the main things I know that people do from the people I speak to and for myself is the breathing. You can't breathe properly. You start crying and you can't focus on things and your body just does weird stuff. You know, and so it's very quite frightening at times, you know, and I wanted to share that with you, you know. So if you're wondering why I haven't been on this channel as much, because I have a lot of legal stuff to do and paperwork. I've got to do more of it tonight, and it's not easy because the legal stuff relates to the trauma I went to and through. So we shouldn't say I went through it. It's more important because I didn't go to the trauma. I didn't know the traumatic experience was going to happen. And so that's been very difficult for me personally. But since the 16th of December last year, when I'm focusing on book publishing business, I haven't been getting the emotional upset like I was before, like crying every day, because I'm a lot more fixed in what I usually want to do. But I haven't been able to do any writing or work on the Asexual Guide to Sex book this month so far. I've done some writing, but legal stuff not to do with my book, which is a bit of a shame and sad, but I have to get the legal stuff done first because I've got to be into for deadlines. So I haven't got a choice for that. So that's really difficult dealing with that, you know. But I wanted you to know that if you're a person that does suffer with panic attacks, I do understand it is really hard. It's difficult when you're dealing with such triggers and things that just make you involuntarily act a certain way, especially when it's kind of your body gets out of control and stuff, you know. When my friends have panic attacks, I just kind of want to hug them and say everything's going to be all right, you know, as a friend. One of them doesn't like physical contact like that, only from their partner, so obviously I would never do something like that, you know, unless they wanted a hug or a pat on the shoulder or whatever. The comfort, but it's long, you know, me and my friend are long distance friends, so don't get the chance to do anything like that much anyway. But a virtual hug, you know, the sentiments there. And then my other friend I do see in person sometimes, so I can give them an actual hug. I just think a hug calms you down. I think if you're in a relationship with someone who experiences panic attacks, I think the best thing you can do is just be understanding for them, trying to understand their triggers, what sets them off, and try and be really sympathetic and empathetic, you know, because panic attacks are not easy to talk about. They're very taboo. A lot of people keep them hidden. They don't want people to know about them because obviously, you know, people make out online that everything's nice in their life, that everything's great in their life and perfect, and, you know, nothing's wrong and there's no negativity, and this is how some people behave anyway, you know. And then it makes kind of you feel inadequate sometimes, or like, you know, like it makes you feel worse sometimes about yourself. And I want you to know that, you know, panic attacks are very real. They're brought on by traumatic experiences and finding things hard to cope and deal with. You can get panic attacks through anxiety itself or post-traumatic stress disorder. And, you know, I have one friend and their panic attacks are so extreme that they end up going to hospital. And one of my other friends used to be like that as well. So it's something really, really serious. It's not to be mocked or laughed at, and it's not to be washed under the carpet, you know. Many people have mental health difficulties at least some point in their life. Even if they don't show it to you on screen behind a camera, they do. And these mental health difficulties, they severely impact their life and those around them, you know. But when you have understanding and you know, if you're open and honest about your mental health difficulties and try and work on them with a therapist and try and get some help and help yourself as much as possible, but also be gentle and kind to yourself as well. And if you've got a partner, you have to understand that you want to be compassionate towards the person that's got mental health difficulties and who has panic attacks. You can't go around, you know, being bad to them and making them worse, because, you know, they are struggling as it is. They don't need someone who's disapproving or critical. They need someone who's supportive, who really understands that, you know, usually panic attacks, the majority of the time, they're triggered by some event or events. There are some people that get in such an anxious state that the panic attacks arrive because the anxiety is so high. And, you know, they find it hard to cope, and everyone's different. You know, a lot of asexuals I know do have mental health difficulties. You know, it's just the way it is, and a lot of them do get triggered. And it's hard. Panic attacks are really difficult. If you are alone, like I live alone, and there's quite a lot of my friends that are on their own when they have their panic attacks, and it's quite frightening. You've got no one there to reassure you that yes, you're going to breathe again. You've got no one there but yourself. You've got no one there to calm you down but you. You've got no one there to help you. That's, you know, that's one of the benefits of actually being in a relationship, is that you do if you do have someone there for you, it can help. You know, like I said, a hug to me, like I think a hug sometimes just helps calm someone down, but you don't want to do it if they're in the middle of a panic and it's going to make it worse. You know, it depends on the type of person. Some will be pushing you away, going, don't come near me when I'm doing this. Others will just love a hug. I know for some, hugs work because they want that comfort. You know, it's like when you are a child, even if you're an adult having a panic attack, what you really want is you just want to be held and cuddled and hold and said, you know, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out fine. You know, you're loved and you're understood. And that's what really people who have panic attacks want to know. They want to know that they're loved, they're understood, and that things will be okay. They will get through it and they will live. And everything will be fine, even if it doesn't feel like that in the moment. And also, you still need to take what they're saying seriously. The issue that's causing the panic attack will be very disruptive to them, will be very difficult for them. It will have a significant impact on their life. And, you know, and you've got to be gentle with that person. You've got to be loving and kind. Obviously, I'm not saying you know, you should tread on eggshells for them and feel like you can't be yourself around them, and you can't, you know, you can't be who you need to be, because that is just not good. It's not healthy. But, you know, the best thing to do is to understand what triggers a person's panic attack and to be very sympathetic and empathetic to it and to be mindful of it, you know. Obviously, like, we're all having triggers at us every day through social media. No one, I mean, I don't know if some of the stuff I say on my channel might trigger some people, because obviously I cover all the asexual spectrum from sex repulsed to sex positive asexuals. And so some people, if they've had bad sexual experiences, they might actually get triggered by me talking about sex positivity, and asexuals that don't mind that, you know. And so we can't, you know, sometimes, you know, we can't live in cotton wool and never say anything to anyone in case they get triggered. That's not what I mean, you know. And you have to be yourself in life. You can't not be. But if, for example, you're thinking about relationships and dating, you don't want to be you don't want to be in a relationship with someone if what you're doing is triggering them because of past events, because that's not healthy for either of you. You know, you might trigger someone by accident, you know, and the person who gets triggered has to understand as well that it's an accident, that you didn't mean to. But I do know there are some people who are in abusive relationships where the actual partner is the trigger and they're causing the trauma and the panic attacks because of their bad abusive behavior. Because the person just can't be themselves, and the other person is criticizing them, putting them down, belittling them, and it just sends them into mass panic, you know, and eventually it has a detrimental effect to their body, you know, because their body has to go into fight or flight mode, which is what basically a panic attack is. It's a fight or flight or freeze. It's gone into the full basically run for your life mode, you know. So the blood usually goes from the fingers and the legs and stuff, it goes up into the heart, and so it's having to work overtime to, you know, your blood pressure probably goes really high, much higher, and it's trying to cope, you know. And when you're in that situation of a panic attack, you can't be dealing with other things or other people, like you kind of like your mind switches off because it's in run mode. So you kind of, your mind goes blank, so that all your resources are going to what you need, which is to run or fly, flee, you know. This is how it works. So, you know, some people worry about the fact that they've got mental health difficulties and they can't get a partner, you know. But I know people who are in relationships that have got autism or got mental health difficulties, and they're still with or disabilities, and they're still with a very loving partner. I've got one female online friend. I've met her in person as well. But we usually talk online now, well, in her group mostly, and she's severely disabled with her leg, but her husband is amazing. I mean, he does the cooking and stuff for her. He'll just help her around the house. He's always there to be with her and to take care of her, and he's one of the most loving, devoted husbands. They haven't always had the perfect marriage, but you know, he's always dedicated to helping her as much as possible. And I think that's really good, you know. So, you know, people have to understand if you've got disabilities and mental health conditions, you know, like I do have fibromyalgia, like I said, I have GAD, and now I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder because of this thing that happened at the end of 2020 that kind of like got exacerbated throughout last year most of the time. And so that was really difficult. You know, I never expected it to happen, and like I said in the meeting this last week, I did have a panic attack on the phone with a solicitor actually. It was totally unexpected, and I think that's one of the worst things. If you're not expecting a panic attack, it can be worse as well. It can be quite like, oh my god, I feel like really, you can feel a bit embarrassed maybe, and a bit like, I can't believe I just did that in front of someone. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you are genuinely triggered, you genuinely have PTSD or CPTSD, and, you know, there's nothing you can do about it in that moment. It's involuntary. It's like your body just reacts, knee-jerk reaction, you know? And so it can be very, very difficult, you know? But I just wanted to do this video because I wanted to talk about it, to say you're not alone. I know lots of asexuals, like I said, do have mental health difficulties, and I think quite a lot of them have triggers and panic attacks. You know, and so I'm quite grateful in the sense that I don't usually have too many triggers from my long-term past as I used to. It's mostly triggers from what's happened in more recent times. You know, so I just want to reach out and say I understand where you're coming from if you do suffer with them. It's not easy, it's really difficult. And when it's unexpected, you can feel really shaken up, and like I said, if you live on your own, it can be quite difficult. I think there's a lot of benefits to being single when you've got mental health conditions. I feel that you've only got yourself to look after. I like that, you know, I don't have to worry about another person. I don't have to be thinking kind of like how they're thinking and feeling. I don't have to feel bad about things with me because it's only me being responsible for myself, and whatever happens in my life is up to me, and whatever happens, you know, you wouldn't have known anything about it unless I told you. And so, like, I kind of like that side, like, you know, look after myself, even though I have these difficulties, because when you're on your own and you look after yourself, despite all these difficulties, mental health conditions and disabilities, it does actually make you a really strong person, because you're having to look after yourself. There's no one there to take care of you. Like I said, you're completely reliant on yourself. You know, like if I feel like I can't breathe properly, I have to calm myself down. What else can I do? You know, you can't be in that state forever, otherwise, you know, you probably end up not being alive anymore eventually. You know, which is what people panic about even more, you know. But at the end of the day, I live on my own, and that's, you know, I've got to cope, you know. Eventually I've got to manage and cope, even if I feel I can't so much at the time. A lot of the time the triggers are by other people though, at the moment. So actually when I don't speak to people, it's quite good. Ah dear, I shouldn't say that, but it's true. They don't mean to, they just set off the triggers by what they say. They don't mean to do it at all. You know, so I think it's really important to acknowledge you know, you have these difficulties, and if you do have to deal with them, especially if you live on your own and you don't have any, because I don't live with my parents, I haven't lived with them for years, or any relatives or anything like that, you know. If you live on your own, you know, you should be praising yourself for being able to actually eventually get out that situation yourself, and to deal with it, and to, you know, and to give yourself some grace and some love and some gratitude that you can get yourself out of it, that you can be brave enough to look after yourself, you know. I think, like I said, for me personally, with my anxiety, I find it easier to be single a lot of the time. I did actually briefly on my calendar go back on Facebook dating on Sunday. I created a profile. I must have been on there for like 10 minutes and thought, this is too anxiety inducing. There's no 23-year-old Indians on here, apart from one I think there was, but I think I've already spoke to him in the past. And I'm like, okay, clearly my guy's not on here, and it's anxiety inducing me because they look like they all want sex. So I literally deleted my whole profile. So I set it up and deleted it in 10 minutes or less, because I've got this strong desire lately to be in a relationship with a younger foreign guy, Indian soulmate, that I still keep thinking I have somewhere in the world, even though I've got a broken ankle and I'm pretty much housebound at the moment, and so not in the best physical state. And obviously I had a panic attack last week now, because we're on Tuesday. So yeah, even with all that, I still are thinking more about relationship lately, which is very bizarre. But it's kind of, I think, because the first guy last year, I loved 2 guys last year. One of them I seem to have really be getting over far more now. Like, my feelings have just really faded, and I don't really think about him as much intensely anymore. The second one, I'm still got another 4 months probably to get over, because it usually takes me 8 months to get over someone. So yeah, you know, so I'm not fully over all that. But the first guy, the Indian guy, I pretty much thinking, yeah, I'm not too fussed about him anymore. Clearly was the wrong guy for me, and yeah, I'm just not right. I keep thinking, you know, I was thinking he might pop back up and hit my life when he is not so busy, but you should never ever be in a relationship with someone where it's just convenient to them, and when they want you, you know what I mean, that's not a good thing to do. You need to be with someone who loves you all the time and who wants the best for you, and to work together as a team to grow the relationship and in the relationship as individuals, which a lot of people don't understand, you know. But I do find it easier to be single in general. I find it very anxiety inducing. I don't know if I'll be able to do dating and relationships again fully for some time. Part of me wants to, but then obviously physically I'm not really up for it. But then I'm asexual anyway. It's not like I'm going to have sex. I don't really need my ankle for that to be in an asexual relationship. Do you know what I mean? But I still get a huge craving for kissing as well at the moment, like badly. Like, I really want to snog a guy now. I know that doesn't really go with panic attacks, but never mind. That's a random other thing I thought I'd bring up. But the panic attack was last week. When was it? Oh, it was last Thursday. I looked on my calendar. Thursday. Oh no, that was sorry, not Thursday. Oh, it was Friday. Yes, Friday, because I'm speaking to this person again this Thursday. That's why I got confused. But yeah, but you know, like personally for me, I just find, because of the anxiety I have usually without the CPTSD, which makes things worse, I just find it easier to take care of myself. I don't have to worry about the other person, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, if everything's going okay between us or not. I don't have to worry about them leaving me or them not being nice to me. Like, but I haven't met the right guy yet, because obviously the right guy wouldn't make me feel like he would go to leave me, and I would be able to trust him and actually trust him. Now, I've trusted guys in the past which I didn't think would leave me, and then they threatened to leave me. I'm just like, okay, go. I can't be dealing with those people like that, you know. So I think I probably would have to know a guy for a very long time to have a serious relationship, you know, serious relationship. So, you know, I just want you to know that I know how difficult panic attacks are, and I know how they can be difficult for the individual, as well as if you've got to manage a relationship with someone as well, you know, it can just be completely anxiety inducing. And so if you are feeling down about this, obviously try and get some help via therapy. I've been told I can't have any more therapy at the moment. But yeah, so try and get some help for therapy. Try and get supportive and understanding friends like I've got. Try to just accept that, you know, this is not going to be forever, hopefully, and that you probably can work through this and not be triggered in the future. Like, I know hopefully in the future it won't be so bad for me when the current situation is kind of fully over, hopefully. But it has had a really bad effect on me. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but things happen in life unexpected, and we just have to try and deal with them the best we can with the resources we have at the time, and not be too hard on ourselves, you know. We need to be compassionate, give ourselves lots of love and care, take time out for us as much as possible to relax and enjoy life and to feel good again. You know, that when you're having panic attacks and it's kind of not feeling good, you have to do stuff to cheer yourself up and feel good, and to make yourself, you know, make yourself have some normality for you. Doesn't mean to say you live a normal life, but you have normality for you, like something that you regulates you, if you like, regulates your emotions more, makes you feel good and special, to counteract the kind of negative feelings and emotions that you went through with your panic attack, you know. And you know, when I was having a panic attack on the phone with one person, they're like, who was a doctor, they're like, you know, just actually take water. They told me to drink water. So I also like to open the windows to get a lot more oxygen in my lungs and stuff like that usually. And I usually try to talk myself, like, to calm down, like go, you know, like, oh, calm, be calm, be calm, be calm. You know, like this. So you know, because you have to kind of calm yourself down if you live on your own. But my heart goes out to anyone and everyone who's had panic attacks, who wants a bit of love and support, and who really, you know, feels alone at times. You know, I just want you to know that you're not alone. Other people experience them too, and it is difficult. It's a difficult thing to have to deal with, but I want you to know you're so super strong for being able to get through it, and especially if you have had quite a number of them in your life, and you're so incredibly brave and courageous to continue with life and to still be around in spite of these things, and to still do your best in life, you know. Just be proud of yourself and all that you achieve with your disabilities or ill health conditions, and know that you are loved and you are beautiful and you are special. And I'm sorry for all the hurt, pain and trauma people have caused in your life that have led you to reacting involuntary in this way. And I really hope that good things happen for you throughout the coming years, and that you know how wonderful you are and how special you are, and that you can get through anything life throws at you, and let the panic attacks be a life lesson in a good way, that you can get through anything. Because if you can get through panic attacks, survive and get through triggers and traumas, and still be alive and here to tell the tale, that means you're super strong. You're incredible, and I'm so proud of you. I'm really proud of you for still being here, for still fighting on, for still fighting for your right to live and to be here in this life. It's not always easy. It can be really struggling sometimes and difficult, and a lot of people don't talk about this. You know, sometimes every day can be just a battle or a fight to get through things, you know. And I want you to know that you are loved, you are cherished, and you do matter. You know, you do matter in life. Even if you have disabilities or mental health conditions, you matter. You count. Theola. Oh, hello, Theola. I haven't seen you for such a long time. How are you doing, my friend? Haven't seen you on Facebook for ages. I haven't seen you on this channel for ages. You know, I was coming to actually the end of my stream now. You came on at the end. You had a panic attack as well through fear. Oh, it's not easy, is it? I was explaining that, you know, even though it's not easy, it's really difficult, you know, you should be proud that you still were able to be here in life and struggle through, and it makes you stronger in the sense you survived it, you know, you're still here, because panic attacks can be very, very frightening, especially if you live alone. You know, because you have to get yourself out of the panic attack. It's not easy, because, you know, your kind of body's and mind's not being coherent really, and it's not doing what you need to do. But, you know, I just think you have to praise yourself for being brave, being able to get through these difficult times, and know that, you know, you're a survivor and a thriver, and actually very much stronger because you can deal with that. I got sore throat, my lungs coughing, muscles ache. I need to get antibiotics. Oh, Theola, yes, you need to get antibiotics. Definitely. My parents had bad chest infections recently, which just sounds like what you've got. So you must get antibiotics. You know, don't waste time thinking about it. Just go and phone them up and get some. Because when it gets to that stage, you know, it's not healthy for you. You've obviously tried for it to go by natural means, but you need to get antibiotics, definitely. I got more legal paperwork to do, so I've got to go, and obviously the legal paperwork is actually a trigger for me. Yes, please, sinus is burning. Oh dear. Yeah, you need to get antibiotics for sure. So phone the doctor up and get them ASAP. Oh, you're happy to see me, thank you. Yeah, I was talking about triggers that I've had to deal with, legal stuff, paperwork, but I've got some to deal with tonight that's literally on my desk that before I start the stream. That's got to be in for tomorrow for Thursday morning. So the person, I've got to send paperwork back to them for them to relook at before our meeting on Thursday morning. So, but the paperwork is to do with a trigger, a traumatic trigger, so it's kind of hard. So I've done 1 page of the paperwork so far. I've got another 6 to go. So yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff going on in my life at the moment, which isn't the best, happiest thing I want to work on, but it's got to be done. So yeah, but I'm sorry you had a panic attack. I hope you feel better soon, and, you know, make sure you get some treatment for being poorly. I think sometimes we struggle on when we really need a bit of extra help, so don't be afraid of phoning the doctor up, getting some help and support. It's really important. And also, like, if you're a person who has never had support for panic attacks, you know, try and get some therapy for anxiety or trauma. Oh, trigger, yeah. You know, I've had some therapy, but I've stopped therapy now. They said they can't actually help me with the trauma because I'm still going through the traumatic experience. Sometimes fear just comes on and your heart racing. Oh yeah, Viola, that is the major problem with panicking and panic attacks. The fear kind of takes over your body and mind so that you become kind of disabled. You know, like with my anxiety by itself, it can be that debilitating sometimes. I'm just curled up on the bed in pain, clutching my tummy and pelvis in a lot of pain. The panic attacks, you know, are to do with trauma on top of the anxiety. So yeah, it can be really difficult. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go because I've got paperwork I've got to do. But I hope you feel better soon, Diola, and I'm gonna send you lots of love. Make sure you go to the doctors and get some antibiotics, and, you know, if you need to get therapy as well at any point, try and ask them for it. But it's very difficult in the UK with the NHS at the moment to get any therapy. I had it for a few weeks and that was it. That's all they give me. It did help though. So, but the trauma itself, they said, because I'm currently still going through the traumatic stuff, then they can't actually give me therapy for CPTSD. Especially my mum, I feel she doesn't have compassion on me. She's not well herself. She puts everything on me. Oh gosh, that's really bad, Ciola. I was explaining actually earlier, before I go, I was explaining earlier that if you're in a relationship, obviously you're not in a romantic relationship with your mum, you're in a sibling family relationship with your mum. And so, you know, I was explaining about that, you know, you have to be with someone, for example, in a romantic relationship, who has compassion and understanding, caring, and doesn't make your condition worse. And it sounds like your mum inadvertently is making your condition worse by putting things on you, and it's just piling issues on top of you that are overwhelming, which is what was probably contributing to the panic attack. So, you know, I don't know if you can have a word with your mum, but sometimes, you know, parents don't totally listen or understand, because they're a different generation and they don't really get some of it sometimes. But, you know, if you can talk to your mum about it, if not, then just kind of like trying to just understand that their lack of understanding is coming from not being able to empathize with you, I'd say, and also not realizing how their own behavior is affecting you. But try and minimize either the time you spend with your mum, or, you know, the time that you're spending on the phone with her, or, you know, the time that she's making you piling everything on you. Try and kind of minimize that time, and understand that it's not your fault. You know, the whole world can't be put on your shoulders. Your mum's responsible for herself as an adult, just like you are, you know. And I'm sorry your mum does that with you, because it makes things increase anxiety. Yeah, I'm not that close to her. She attacks me like narcissist. I'm not her favorite. Oh, Ciola, yeah, if you've got a narcissistic mum, that's really not good. You have to stay away from them as much as possible, because, you know, you'll just end up making your condition worse, and you don't want that. That's what I was trying to say earlier, that if you end up, if you have anxiety or CPTSD, have panic attacks, stuff like that, you've got to, if you get into a relationship, have a really understanding partner, who's sympathetic, empathetic, and can work with you with that. Otherwise, it can make your condition worse. You know, she always lifts up other girls. Oh, they are doing this, doing that, and says no one cares about her. Oh, yeah, it's not very good. So she's very centered on herself. And I'm guessing every time there's something wrong with you, there probably has to be something worse with her. I don't know if that's true, but in my abusive narcissistic ex, he was like, if I was poorly, he had to be worse than me. He couldn't have me being sicker than he was. So if I used to have something wrong with me, he used to make out that he was worse than me, because he didn't want the intention of him, and he wanted to be worse than me. Yeah, because she knows I'm the compassionate one, and listen to her. Yeah. Unfortunately, one of the things about narcissists is that they are purposely attracted to people who are empathetic, who are caring, kind, and compassionate. So if you're a caring, kind, and compassionate and empathetic person, unfortunately we attract abusers and narcissists, because yes, yeah. So kind, compassionate, caring, sensitive, emotional, empathetic people attract abusers and narcissists, because a lot of the time they hate the way we are, because they don't like emotions and compassion, because they see these things as weaknesses, not as strengths. So they want to attack us, and they want to undermine us and belittle us and blur our reality, so that they can get what they want, you know. But you know, narcissists and abusers in general, that's what they do. They will I got severe neck, shoulder, back pains, I can't hardly walk, and housebound. Yeah, see, that's not good for you. I would recommend, obviously, talking to your doctor, getting some antibiotics for your, so I'm not a medical expert, obviously. I'd talk to your doctor about getting antibiotics for current conditions. I talk about them getting some therapy, and see if there's any way they can get some maybe physical support to help you. Yeah, so I'm starting to hate myself. Yeah, don't hate yourself, Fiola. Don't hate yourself. You need to apply for, I don't know if you've already applied for some disability benefits like PIP or something like that. See if you can get that. It's really difficult to get that. I've been trying to get that. Because obviously I've broke my ankle now, and I broke it last year as well. And yeah, get what they can, manipulate you. Yeah, it's sad, you know, people who manipulate people are really sad. You know, it's like, I'm not going to go into why they might be like that, because, you know, people could come to their defense, but at the end of the day, you know, you can choose how to treat people in life. You can choose to treat people well, with respect, kindness, compassion, understanding, caringness, and the ability to understand that everyone's different, and that some people struggle with different things, and that you need to really have a deep respect for each other, you know. I tell my sister come and clean for me, but still waiting, she's married. Yeah, see if you can pay, if you've got money coming in, see if you can pay for a cleaner yourself, you know, and hire someone. I'm just applying, well, I've applied for PIP, which is personal independent payment in the UK, to see if I can get someone to help me. I mean, I've got my best friend Annie's coming to help me a lot, but they're not paid by me, you know, and they travel miles, and they're doing it out of the kindness of their own heart, but they've got their own issues going on, you know. So I need to see if I can pay for a carer to just come in sometimes and do cooking or cleaning or housework for me, you know, and food shopping, because my back's getting really bad now. It got bad last year. So even aside from my broken ankle, like whenever I start even pulling a shopping trolley, because I put all my food in a shopping trolley usually when I was going shopping, it's now causing me severe back pain. Yeah, so yeah, I would definitely do that and pay someone, because it's going to help you out, you know. Because nowadays I don't want my back to get worse, you know. I was on a waiting list for 11 months to get a back physio. Yeah, you need to get PIP. Yeah, I've been declined it at the moment twice. I've been declined it. Now it's, you have to go to a tribunal, which is obviously legally stressful, which is part of the stuff I wasn't kind of talking about on my channel, but yeah, I didn't really want to go to a tribunal with that. So, but yes, I do need it. I really do need it. I mean, like, you know, you know, like, I've broken my ankle now. I can't do the food shopping anymore myself, but I've got a lot of problems with my fibromyalgia. My back is really screwed. It's got worse and worse and worse last year. People can be selfish, sorry to tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, people can be very selfish. But luckily, I mean, my friend Andy and my other best friend Sam, they're not selfish people. They're amazing. Yeah, that's bad they decline. Yeah, it's really bad they decline PIP. Really, really bad. I applied for it and then I appealed it, and so the only option is to go tribunal, otherwise I have to accept their thing. But I think I should be having it, because I've given doctors evidence and stuff like that, which some of, and some of what I wrote they've overlooked. So, you know, I don't want, it's very stressful. I don't want to be, this is like part of the legal stuff I've been having to deal with in the last week, part of it. Because I wasn't going to talk about that on this channel, and there's other stuff that I can't discuss, but there's a lot of legal stuff I'm dealing with at the moment, and that actually is one of the things I had to do. Last week I had to spend time doing that, preparing a case for a tribunal to see if I can get it, and it's hard because it's just me, there's no one helping me. I've got no but you get some disability. Yeah, now since October last year, I get the limited capability for work, disability or health condition part of universal credit. So I quit my full-time job last year because it made me really poorly and I broke my ankle. Yeah, it's an allowance. Yeah, that's right. So it's not actually, it's a bit more money on top of universal credit, but that goes in food. But yeah, I was really worried before that because it wasn't being in birth. Can't your dad help you to get it? No. My mum and dad don't have anything to do with anything like that with me. Nothing at all. And they don't have anything to do with my disabilities or anything like that. Or, you know, my best friend Andy's been helping me. They were helping me all last year. My parents weren't involved in any help with my disability. You know, with my broken ankle last year. It was only my friend Andy that helped me. If it wasn't for my friend Andy, I don't know what I would have done, because literally I live by myself. I couldn't do the food shopping myself. My parents are getting older, you know, but I don't know what I would have done without my friend Andy's help, because they were helping me like since the end of, I think it was end of April last year, they were helping me. So if I hadn't got them helping me, I don't know what I would do. You know, it would be really, really difficult for me to do anything. You know, so I don't know how that works, because a lot of, you could argue you could buy food online, but I live in a first floor flat. No, Andy does not live near me. No, they do not live near me. They live 2 hours away by public transport. To come and see me, they pay for it out of their own money. They pay to come and see me. They come by bus usually rather than train, because it's half the price for them. And they spend about 2 hours travelling here and 2 hours travelling back. And they have mental health difficulties themselves. So it's very difficult for them. So, you know what I mean? If they leave my place at 9, they don't get back to their place till after 11 at night. So, you know, they are doing it out of the kindness of their own heart, because they love me as a best friend, and because they can see that I need help. You know, I don't like saying it, 'cause I'm very independent. I hate saying that I need help, you know, but I do. I can't lie or deny it anymore. Oh, wow, that's kind of him. Exactly. But that's one of the reasons why I've applied for PIP. And one of the reasons why I've been off this channel is because I'm appealing to a tribunal, which is not something I really wanted to go into, but I suppose it doesn't matter because other people apply for that anyway. But I've had to apply for it, but it takes 6 months. So 6 months you have to wait, and you know, then you've got judges and stuff to go in front of. It's very nerve-wracking. I've got anxiety condition, so I didn't even want to, part of me didn't even want to apply for it, because it's anxiety inducing for me. You know, apparently you have a judge, a doctor, and a disabled professional judge you, basically. You know, same here, you know, and so that's really difficult for me, because I've always known with my fibromyalgia I might eventually need care and to pay for it, because you can get worse with it. I still would say overall I manage it better than some people do. But I pray you get your PIP, you will get it. Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't got anything, because I have serious problems with mobility, and you know, I have mental health conditions that affect me physically. So, you know, and most of the time I spend indoors, because I'm always streaming most of the time from my flat, aren't I? Do you know what I mean? In my pajamas, I am. But I try to keep positive as much as possible. Can't you tell your doctor how you feel? Yeah, my doctor's written to the PIP. My doctor's written an actual letter. And so with the PIP, they're saying they don't dispute my disabilities, but PIP isn't given on your disabilities. It's given on how they affect you on your day-to-day life and mobility. But if you can walk more than 50 meters, which I can't do at the moment without strapping up and putting crutches on, but if part of last year I could again, because I got my ankle better again. But if you can walk like 50 meters, for example, which is very small amount, then, you know, they take points off you for that, you know. Mobility is based on if you can walk basically from one point to another, regardless of how long it takes you as well. When I told them how long it took me to walk and all this time I had to stop last year, and that went against me, even though I was really honest about it. I'm like, this is 1 day out of 7 I've been out to the cinema for my mental health, and it took me 40 minutes to walk there because I had to keep stopping. You know what I mean? So you know, but my physio wanted me to get out and walk more and exercise my ankle more, you know, so you can't really win. But yeah, I am shocked. Oh, I see, don't worry, you'll get it. Yeah, so it's just stressful because I've got to represent myself in a tribunal, but I've actually asked if I can do it by phone or video, because I mean, at the moment I'm completely housebound with my ankle, pretty much. I mean, I went out to physio the other day, and I did go out once, but it was really bad. My ankle, I was strapped up with crutches, and my ankle was really bad. It kept giving way. Luckily I had the boot on, but yes, I can't walk as well, not much around the house. Yeah, I mean, my flat's so small, but I mean, even if I did online food shopping, I still got to get upstairs because I live in the first floor flat, and it's dragging it up the stairs that's causing my back problems. I can't do that anyway at the moment because I've got a broken ankle. So it's no good me ordering a delivery online, because I've got like lots of allergies, food allergies and intolerances, so I can't just go and grab anything off the shelves anyway. I usually have to shop in 2 or 3 different places. So my friend goes to 4 different shops for me. Sometimes it's 2 supermarkets, sometimes it's 3 supermarkets and a shop in a day for me. But only half the day, because they don't get here usually till 2 often. So they come to me 2 till 9 at night and have to do all the stuff in there. And they do my hoovering for me and my cleaning of my floors. But, you know, they're doing it all to help me. Whereas I should be getting an actual pay money to pay for someone to help care for me, right? I don't like saying it, but it has to be said, doesn't it? You know what I mean? There's no point in beating around the bush anymore. I need some help. So, yeah, so there is no one else to help me. I don't have any brothers or sisters or anything like that. My cousins don't really talk to them. They wouldn't be interested in helping me anyway. So I've got no one else to help me. You know what I mean? It's either myself or myself or myself or friends if they want to, if they can, if they offer, you know? So yeah, I'm pretty stuck in that because I live upstairs. It's no good having a delivery to the front of the door, then I have to drag it all up the stairs because I can't physically do that at the moment anyway. And one of the problems that's arises since last year is the fact that when I'm trying to put my food in the shopping trolley and yeah, it's very good of Andy to do all that housework for me. Yeah, when I put my food in the shopping trolley, even dragging the shopping trolley up the stairs now because I have to pull it up the stairs, as that's hurting my lower back. And so I've noticed when Andy starts doing my food shopping completely again all the time, I don't get as much back pain. My back is a lot better. If I was well and near you, I would help you. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. That's really, really sweet of you. I mean, I've always been very independent. It's like, in terms of relationship, I like living separately, having separate household bills, and I usually like looking after myself. But, if I do get into a relationship, the guy has to know that I do struggle and I do need help. Obviously, I'll try and pay for a carer if I get the pip. But you know what I mean? Like, Andy said to me, if you get a boyfriend in the future, hopefully they should be helping you. They care about you. But, I don't want to put that onto a guy that, oh, you be with me and you've got to care for me or anything like that. But, it's not full on care. It's just helping me out, But it's still a lot of care in a way, So it's difficult, because I like to be vibrant, energetic and stuff like that. But no, it's not right. You need to get help. Exactly, So yeah, things change in life because the job centre were like DWP that kind of like make the decisions. They were like saying, oh, you were a manager before. I'm like, yes, but I haven't actually. I was off long-term sick. I've left the job now due to it making me ill, and I was only physically in that job for since I was only physically in the job from the 2nd of October 2020 to the 3rd of November because then there was lockdown and I was off sick. So I wasn't really there for that long, and before that I wasn't working. I was out of work because I was made redundant 3 years prior to that. So but obviously I'm still a self-employed author. I'm still doing my books, but all this legal stuff that's going on, sometimes I feel I need my other half, something missing. Yeah, it's hard because obviously I'm darting from another conversation now. What I was going off on the benefit side of things, but yeah, I'm glad I do get the limited capability for work recognised now. But yeah, it's kind of hard because in the last week I've missed being in a relationship a lot more, even though my ankle's broken and I'm probably not in a fit state. But I've kind of missed that. I think sometimes you do miss someone. I think it's only natural, someone to cuddle and hold. And, I'm good at emotional support. I'm very good at emotional support for a guy, even though I can't physically really do much to support him. Well, I could kiss still. Kiss with a broken ankle might be a bit difficult, but I'm sure I can work it out. But, in terms of emotional support, I'm usually really good at being compassionate, understanding, empathetic, emotionally there for a guy. And some guys really need that. Some guys can, they've got no physical ailments, so they can look after themselves physically, but they do need a lot of emotional support, and understanding and compassion, and I'm very good at that type of thing. So even though I've got health problems, I believe it's your time. Oh, bless you. I physically it probably isn't the right time for me yet, but I just can't help but think about that. But yeah, I went on I think you came on the stream later than after I'd already talked about it, but I said that I created a profile on Facebook dating, but I only was on there for about 10 minutes and then literally just deleted it. It was too anxiety inducing for me and I couldn't be on there, and all the guys looked like they wanted sex and I just can't be doing with it. I'm not interested in a guy who wants sex. I really not. I don't like it. Don't want it. Don't need it. Don't need the hassle. Don't want that, it really repulses me these days, for me personally, not others. I want to get back to writing my book, but I can't until I've got this legal stuff. I'm going to have to go because I've got more legal paperwork to do. Not for the PIP, but for some other thing that's going on as well. So I've got simultaneously law stuff going on and legal stuff at the moment, which is like, you know, and like why it's hard for me. But I'm going to love you and leave you for now, for Fiona. I hope you get better very, very soon. Don't forget to talk to your doctor and get some help yourself. Don't go on Facebook dating. Yeah, I've deleted my profile again. I was only on there for about 10 minutes. I went through all the 23-year-olds because that's the age group I'm most attracted to see if there was any Indian 23-year-olds on there. There was one that you couldn't see a picture of. I think I've talked to him before, and the rest were just like no good. And okay, hope to see you soon. Yeah, so lots of love, take care, and I'll see you soon. If you're new to this channel and you're watching, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now and post a new video. And don't forget, I love and adore you. You're special and awesome. And even if you've got mental health difficulties, have panic attacks or disabilities, you're still valid. You're still worth being here in life, and you matter. Bye. Love you. Hugs. Thank you. Lots of love to you. Take care. Bye, my friend. Bye.